morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. How y'all doing? It's Kaiser, and got a little bit of Star Wars news for you. So, over the weekend, while I was busy convalescing because there was a nasty stomach bug going around, news broke that apparently there's some, if you want to call them anything, call them updates to season two of Kenobi. I mean, back in April of last year, I mean, this article was from April 8th of last year. I mean, pretty much like, yeah, this is not going to happen. Well, it seems like we finally got confirmation of a little bit of that because, well, Ewan McGregor was caught begging to make Obi Wan season two. Yeah, begging. And I mean that Ewan McGregor begs fans to petition Disney for a second season of Obi Wan Kenobi.
You serious?
I know, hard to friggin' believe here, but yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into all the information here. So, this came from courtesy of Bounding into Comics. Star Wars lead Ewan McGregor makes desperate plea, asks fans to quote write to Disney unquote for a second season of Obi Wan Kenobi. Well, I mean, the series, while it did better than Ahsoka and or Book of Boba Fett and I'm pretty sure I might be missing. Oh yeah, Mandalorian season 3. While it did better than those series, at least at its premiere especially, it did not go well with fans. In fact, it was one of the poorest received shows of that time frame. And it really made a lot of people very upset. And say if you actually go into a lot of the ratings and what happened, I'm going to kind of skip over some of that, but let's actually get into this here. So, in making a request that perhaps only he and seven other Disney Star Wars fans truly want to see fulfilled, Obi-Wan Kenobi has asked audiences to write to Disney in order to petition them for a second season of the Disney Plus series. Longtime franchise star made his plea on February 3rd panel appearance at MegaCon Orlando. And yeah, so this is pretty hilarious here. So the actual quote here, whenever he was at MegaCon, was from this. So McGregor then admitted, quote, I just hope that we can do another one, before turning to ask MegaCon attendees for their help in making it happen. Quote, can everyone write to Disney? The actor asked. If we just, I'll give you some email addresses at the end. Just say, Dear Disney, let's have another. Let's have a bit more Obi-Wan Kenobi, please. Yeah, again, literally having to beg for a series that apparently nobody likes. And Disney has basically said, no, not happening. This is pretty hilarious here. Asked during an August 23rd interview with The Hollywood Reporter as to whether this is being the director, Deborah Chow, uh, whether she and the actor, Ewan McGregor, had spitballed any ideas for a potential season two. Obi-Wan Kenobi series director Deborah Chow recalled, quote, you always think you're going to end a series like this with some magnificent way, but instead you end up in a parking lot with a second unit and hardly anybody there. It's always so anticlimactic, but as Ewan and I finished our very last shot on second unit and was literally taking off my headphones, he was already pitching the ideas for season two, unquote. Turning to her own interest in returning to the second season, Chow posited, quote, there's another 10 years with plenty of stories, and I don't think it's off the board. It's a never say never situation, but we really did conceive this to be a limited series, unquote. Oof.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Even the director of your series basically said, "Yeah, I have like little to no interest in actually really returning." That's what that really means if you really understand Hollywood director speak. Oh yeah, it's pretty pathetic when you get right down to it. And yeah, I mean, it's really pathetic when you look at all this. I mean, having to beg the fans for the fact that just you made a turn and nobody liked it, and now you're begging fans for more of that. I mean, can we also take a moment here to remember all the things that happened, like the the race baiting of fans during that time? Well, I mean, because the internet remembers. Yeah, kind of like this. Yeah, so Ewan McGregor calls out, quote, racist trolls, bullying Moses Ingram, quote, you're no Star Wars fan in my mind. I also quote, it was just sickening to my stomach to hear that this was happening. Yeah, sure. Okay, I don't doubt that for a second. And I do want to make sure I do take a moment and I do want to make absolutely clear I want to clarify. So I'm making myself big screw. Okay, yeah. Racism is bad, okay? Yeah, I don't think I really have to preface that. I don't think that I have to go out on a limb to make that abundantly clear. But yeah, racism is bad. Racism sucks. And anybody who actually practices that is a piece of shit. I hope I've made my understanding clear. However, there is a lot of issues here with a lot of the story that has been kind of going around with this one because there's a lot of unsubstantiated information here. And, you know, let's just let Ewan McGregor speak for himself on this one and just say what he has to say. This was his actual post back on May 31st of 2022 about the supposed messages sent to his co-star, uh, yeah, there Moses Ingram, and yeah, let's just let him talk.
This weekend, Star Wars fans made Obi Wan Kenobi the most watched Disney Plus original series premiere of all time, and for
Never
that,
released the
I would
numbers.
say a big thank you. And it just goes to show what this family can do when we all pull together. However, it seems that some of the fan base from this influential fan base have decided to attack Moses Ingram online and send her the most horrendous racist DMs. And I heard some of them this morning and it just broke my heart. Moses is a brilliant actor. She's a brilliant woman. And she's absolutely amazing in this series. She brings so much to the series. She brings so much to the franchise. And it just sickened me to my stomach to hear that this had been happening. I just want to say, as the leading actor in the series, as the executive producer on the series, that we stand with Moses. We love Moses. And if you're sending her bullying messages, you're no Star Wars fan in my mind. There's no place for racism in this world. And I totally stand with Moses.
Now, again, I must reiterate, if there was actual racist messages being sent there to Moses Ingram, that's horrible and that shouldn't happen. I'll be completely honest, I really didn't particularly care for her in the role that she had, but at the same time, I mean, I think that, I mean, does that person deserve, racist messages being sent to her? No, absolutely not. And I think that if that happened, that's horrible and it shouldn't happen. However, there's a slight problem here. Yeah, it's that notice that he said that apparently she had been receiving DMs, direct messages. So these are messages that cannot necessarily be seen by everybody. These are just messages sent directly to her and only able to be really seen by her on Twitter, formerly Twitter, now X. Okay. Now, did any of these messages ever actually surface? Did we see any? I mean, I haven't found any, I'll be completely honest. So, yeah. makes one question, okay, was this really a thing? Well, we don't have to wonder too much because there was some interesting back and forth here. Because, this was also from Bounding into Comics back on May 24th, 2022. After endorsing calling all white people racist, Lucasfilm prepped actress Moses Ingram against, quote, racist backlash on her Obi Wan Kenobi character. Now, let me back up here. The calling all white people racist part. Let's parse that out because the actual quote came from from this person, Christina Arrail. Yeah, that was where all that kind of came from. So that wasn't actually specifically said by Moses Ingram. I just want to make sure that we do our due diligence and we're absolutely being truthful and upfront. The way that the headline on that kind of sounded was a little bit, not. It sounded like it might have been her that said it on the headline, but I just want to make sure we bring this up. So for context, yeah, it was actually this person, Christina Rail, that actually said all these things. So let's go to the actual article here. Let's dig into this one. So, yeah. Apparently, Lucasfilm and subsidiary of the Walt Disney Company believes their Star Wars fan base is racist, and according to actress Moses Ingram, who plays Inquisitor Reva Sandover in the upcoming Obi Wan Kenobi TV Plus series, warned her that she would face racism for playing the character. I'm sorry. Wait, what? Okay. Yeah. So this, if you kind of gives you a little bit more context here. So if you recall back in January 2021, Bounding into Comics reported that newly hired Star Wars The High Republic host Christina Rail had previously claimed that white people are racist. On March 2020, Rail tweeted, quote, white people effing stop it. Your racism won't save you. Your ignorance is not an excuse, unquote. And there's the actual quotes there. How does this tie it all into Moses Ingram? Well, let me get right to that. So the official Star Wars account came out to support a rail saying that our Star Wars community is one of hope and inclusivity. We do not stand for bullying or racism. We support Christina Rail. Okay, well, you had me right up until that part because, obviously, supporting a, nicer, better community and not standing for bullying or racism sounds good in theory, but then you stand with people who actively call other people just a very broad, cultural spectrum, i.e., white people, racist, just blanket. Kind of have a problem with that. Ingram, who is set to play the villainous Inquisitor working under Darth Vader, is slated to have a major role in the upcoming series. Yeah, we know. With some arguing her impact will be even bigger than the title character of Obi Wan Kenobi, played by Ewan McGregor. Yes, that actually turned out to be true. It was the Reva show. It was not actually Obi-Wan's series. It was the Reva show co-starring Obi Wan Kenobi. Let's be honest. Regardless of what her role is or how impactful it will be, Ingram revealed in an interview that with the Independent that Lucasfilm trained her to deal with, quote, racist backlash, unquote, towards her character ahead of the show's premiere. Quote, it was something that Lucasfilm actually got out in front of. She said, this is the thing that unfortunately is likely to happen, but we are here to help you. You can let us know when it happens, Ingram said. Okay. So let's also kind of take into account here that there's allegedly also some online bullying that took place about John Boyega's character, Finn, and Kelly Marie Tran's character, Rose Tico. I didn't, okay, we're supposed to just take that on faith, apparently. And apparently that's why Kelly Marie Tran left social media. But here's what's interesting. Was this all just maybe possibly a publicity stunt? Well, there seems to be some actual information that might back that up. Novelist and comic book creator John Delaroz posited that calling Star Wars fans racist, as they did when fans were justifiably upset with the Rails comments, were actually part of their marketing strategy. Interesting. Delaroz explained, quote, "This is a marketing gimmick for Disney at the end of the day because there is no talk about the High Republic that is positive." Yeah, that's for about a rail. And who's to say that it didn't actually possibly happen with Obi-Wan? Because, I mean, they had this character come in and let's see, you just use that to drum up a whole bunch of negative publicity right ahead of the premiere of the show, and that gets everybody talking. It creates buzz. It creates press, negative press, but hey, some people, feed off of that stuff, and I don't know why, but they do. It definitely did. I remember very distinctly right before the show came out, whenever this started happening, this caused a whole big buzz around the show. And subsequently, people like me were completely turned off the show and just didn't show up because I didn't even bother with the show until much, much later. And, well, you know, let's see. Let's see. Nobody is interested in the comics. Nobody is interested in the books. Nobody is interested in the show discussing the comics or the books. And so they have tried to make some sort of cause out of it in order to get people interested. It's a tried tactic at this point, unquote. That was the conclusion from Del Raz. And yeah, I mean, it seems that it would match up with, all the fact that, I mean, there really wasn't a whole lot of buzz around this. And now, how does all this tie into the potential for a season 2 of Obi Wan Kenobi? Well, I mean, let's be completely honest here, since Reva is still very much alive at the end of season 1 of Obi Wan Kenobi, we can only assume that Reva would be making a big return in season 2, and that it would lead to more adventures and Obi Wan doing stuff and blah, blah, blah. Well, all I have to really say here is that I think Disney understands that if they do try to do a second season of this show, it's not going to do well. And that, quite frankly, there's not going to be any interest because they've driven off the fan base for this show. They've really driven away the fans by calling the fans racist, or at least a very large chunk of the fan base racist. And for what? Some early publicity around a show that now it's like nobody watches and is basically bombed? Well, that seems to be it. And hey, look, here's a great idea. Why don't you write into Disney and beg for a season 2? And that way you can get more of this stuff and more people calling you, anybody out there who is a white person who happens to be a fan of Star Wars, they can sit there and call you a racist for an entire other season. How'd you like that?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Just saying, folks. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. That's all I've got on this topic in particular. And I will definitely keep you guys up to date if I hear any more, if there's any more information out there. But wanted to give you a quick little behind the scenes, a little bit of a background on the whole situation and why I'm pretty sure Disney is not interested in pursuing this any further. Hey, I could be wrong. They could always come up with the idea saying that, hey, maybe we're going to do a season 2. But based on everything that we have seen so far, from over a year ago to now, I highly doubt anything's going to happen with this series. I doubt that it's going to get a season 2. But hey, let me know what y'all are thinking in the comments section down below. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.